Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call Allah Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Shem Dash. All right. Of course, double honors go out to the apostles and elders, great millstone, who, through the Holy Spirit, continue to teach us His truth. All right. Try to prepare us for what's to come. And by the look of things, it's going to be sooner than later. All right. This article here is from Blacklisted News, and it asks the question. It says, "What will you do when inflation forces U.S. households to spend 40% of their incomes on food?" In other words, inflation is on the way. You already see or feel by this time, all right, that prices are on the increase. It's going to get so bad, all right, for those of you that say Jacob's trouble is gay and all that other weird crap, all right. Anyway, this is from Michael Snyder, all right, and he goes on to say, or ask the question, did you know that the price of corn has risen 142% in the last 12 months? So 142%. So it doesn't look like things are getting better. It looks like they're getting worse. And that's what we've been out here on the highways and byways, on the street corners, trying to tell you people that bad things, bad times are coming. Evil, all right? Of course, corn is used in hundreds of different products we buy at the grocery store, and so everyone is going to feel the pain of this price increase. But it isn't just the price of corn that's going crazy. We are seeing food prices shoot up dramatically all across the industry, and experts are warning that this is just the very beginning. So if you think that food prices are bad now, just wait, because they're going to get a whole lot worse. All right. Again, what we've been saying all along. See, what's that saying that a hard head makes a soft ass? Okay. It says typically Americans spend approximately 10% of their disposable personal income on food. All right, and this little says in 2019, Americans spent an average of 9.5% of their disposable personal incomes on food, divided between food at home, 4.9%, and food away from home, 4.6%, between 1969 and 1998. The average share of disposable personal income spent on total food by Americans on average fell from 17 to 10.1%, driven by a declining share of income spent on food at home. Needless to say, the poorest Americans spend more of their incomes on food than the richest Americans. You know, that's a given. It says, according to USDA, the poorest households spend an average of 36% of their disposable personal incomes on food in 2019. All right, and you see, I don't know if you've noticed, but since this pandemic, I personally have noticed that I've seen a whole lot of more Edomites like eating out. All right, and that's where this comes into play as far as disposable income, because of course they would have more of that. Okay, let's get some scriptures here. Let's see. I'm going to start off with, of course, Matthew 24. All right, this is Matthew. It says signs of Yahushua's return. All right. So this is going into the last days, and it started 6. It says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so this is just the beginning, as it says. Let's go back to the article. All right. It says, as their incomes rise, households spend more money on food, but it represents a smaller overall budget share. In 2019, households in the lowest income quintile spent an average of $4,400 on food, representing 36% of income, while households in the highest income quintile spent an average of $13,000 $987 on food, representing 8% of income. All right. Needless to say, the final numbers for 2020 will be quite a bit higher, and many believe that eventually the percentage of disposable personal income that the average U.S. household spends on food will reach 40%. That would mean that many poor households will end up spending well over 50% of their personal disposable incomes just on food. All right, that's really bad. That's a really bad sign. It says that at one time that would have been unimaginable, but now everything is changing. As I noted above, the price of corn has increased 142% since this time last year. All right, so um, it says corn prices have jumped roughly 142% over the past year to $7.56 per bushel, the highest price seen in 8 years for the crop. A drought in Brazil and increased demand in China have put pressure on global suppliers. All right. In other areas, we have seen more moderate inflation, but overall, we just witnessed the largest increase in food inflation. All right. The average prices in March 2021 for pork chops and chicken breast are both up more than 10% compared to March 2020. Eggs and cheddar cheese are both up 6%. Looking for all consumer goods as a whole, the latest inflation data and the Consumer Price Index from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the largest month-to-month increase in almost 9 years. All right. Let's see. Wow. It says Tom McCarthy can't finish building a home in Bergen County, New Jersey because of the lumber shortage. Another thing. All right. There are pieces of wood that we can't find, said McCarthy, a real estate broker with the Chin Agency who also builds homes with his father on the side. McCarthy estimates the cost of lumber for the home will hit $70,000, nearly double the cost of building the exact same home in a nearby town just 8 months ago. So we're not even talking a year there. All right. He said, isn't that nuts? Instead of building a new home, you could try buying an existing one instead. But real estate prices in many areas have gotten completely insane. And yet, where I am here in the district, all kinds of gentrification. Again, going back to what I said earlier with the food prices, you know who's got the most disposable income, and it ain't us. So you're seeing all these new, I'm trying to imagine a city other than that's worse than DC as far as gentrification. They're building stuff. I'm just a few years ago to just things that just were not there. They're like going crazy, right? Because all these Edomites are moving in, pushing our people out into neighboring counties, either PG, Prince George's County, or even across, into Virginia or wherever. But they're getting the hell out of DC. All right. Let's see. Oh, which brings up again the case of taxation without representation. So now they bringing up the argument. Well, are you going to make this a state? And you've got such an influx of Edomites coming in. Guess what? Now it's more likely than ever. But when it was all Jake, but you got to consider too. Jake played right into Esau's hands. All right, with the influx of drugs, acting all stupid, because I know many of the people that came up through the 80s and 90s, all you heard on the news, all right, shootings. DC is the murder capital of the United States or the world, whatever have you, all right, which brought the property value down, and now what you're seeing with this influx of Edomites, with this gentrification, their plan worked beautifully, all right, almost to perfection, all right, so why would you want to stay in a place? We always bring up Micah chapter 2, verse 10, this place is not our rest, and it's not. But Jake invests so much, across the board, emotionally, physically, spiritually, into something that you have no hopes of attaining, and that's peace, because this was not meant for us. All right. And these devils that rule over us are going to make sure of that. All right. So back to this story. Uh, he says, I never imagined that I would see such a thing happen. It says, but one real estate agent says that such wild bidding wars are becoming increasingly common. It says, and that's especially true in the East Bay. People are not surprised when a home goes $1 million over. All right. When my clients see a house for 1.9 million, they're almost conditioned to think it'll go to 3 million in Piedmont or North Berkeley. This is what the beginning stages of hyperinflation look like. But Federal Reserve officials insist that we have nothing to be concerned about. What does that sound like? Let's go to it. Of course they're going to say that. All right. Let's go to first. All right. And this is the day of the Lord. All right. It says, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1, but of the times and of the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. People are being fattened up, all right, in some cases literally, all right, for a huge, huge fall, all right. Because if you're really watching what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to watch as well as pray, so that situation like the scripture I just read won't come as a surprise, as a thief in the night. All right. And again, that's why we're out there on the highways and byways, trying to wake our people up to what's going on. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. It says Boston Federal Reserve President Eric Rosengren, in an interview with MarketWatch on Wednesday, dismissed talk of scaling back asset purchases as premature and said temporary factors pushing up inflation this spring won't last. My view is that this acceleration in the rate of price increases is likely to prove temporary. And the reporter asks, he says, do you believe him? I don't. As Simon Black has pointed out, the federal government is just going to continue to borrow and spend trillions upon trillions of dollars. This is the big one. The U.S. federal government is hoping to spend a whopping $11 trillion this year between the regular budget, COVID stimulus already passed, and all the new legislation they're proposing. And it's only May. Obviously, Uncle Sam doesn't have the money, so they have to borrow, which gives more weight to the fact that this is being done on purpose so they can crash the economy and bring in this new digital system. All right. And a lot of people, like I said, are going to be caught unawares. All right. Because of this pandemic, they're solely focused on that. I mean, it's for the mind games. It's simply amazing. All right. How I've seen one video in particular, and this Edomite woman says she never dreamed of the day, this has been a few months back, that she would live to see where the American citizen is just sitting back. All right. They've been brought so low as just to expect a check, not realizing, all right, that this shit is going down. All right. She was distraught, and she is right. All this, I guess you could say, the powers that be, the elite, they've been keeping, well, it goes to the dumbing down of America. All right. People around the world in other countries are protesting things that people here just sit back and, it's almost like, but it's like, this is good because, that air of superiority that the Americans exude to the rest of the world. Daniel 7:20, 7:20, his look was more stout than his fellows. It's that American exceptionalism, you know, and it just turns people off, except it turns people off around the world, you know, and that's going into because people are tired of America's shit. Let's just face it. All right. Uh, and it's going to get to the point where, hey, Revelation 17 chapter, I believe it's verse 15 and 16. All right. Where they hate the whore and they're going to burn her with fire. And that fire is those missiles. All right. It says almost everybody loved it when the federal government started sending out big, fat stimulus checks. But you aren't going to love it when a cart of food costs you $400 at the grocery store. Whenever the government hands out free money, someone has to pay for it. And one way we are paying for it is through higher prices. If you do not believe that this is a major national crisis yet, you will soon. Because it won't be too long before most of the country is loudly complaining about how nightmarish inflation has become. All right. There it is. Uh, and this same guy that wrote this, he's got a book entitled Lost Prophecies of the Future of America. Well, there is no future for America. All right. So let's get some more scriptures. Of course, the one we've always also to go along with this is Amos 8 and 11. So let's get that real quick. This is Amos chapter 8 and 11. It says, Behold, the days come, saith the Most High Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Most High. All right. And the thing about that, another thing that's going to get, or that has got the American citizen, why he's not picking up on a lot of what's going on. Certainly the spiritual aspects of it, but even the economics of it, all right, is because people don't like hearing the truth, especially here in America. All right, they like things twisted, all right, and that in the end is what's going to get a lot of people caught out there, all right. They don't like the truth. Let's read verse 12. It says, And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Most High, and shall not find it, which we know is coming because a lot of what we say, nobody wants to hear, especially, all right, the powers that be, as far as in the world goes, all right, because we're exposing them for what and who they really are. And that's, what is that? Let's get it real quick. Hosea, 6th chapter. This is Hosea chapter 6, verse 5, and it says the response to God's rebuke. All right. It says, Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth, and as the truth is bringing him down. 2 Corinthians 10th chapter. All right. We're bringing down all these false ideologies, all the lies, all right, that allowed this place to prosper for so long. We're bringing it down just by words. All right. Let's go to 2 Timothy. Let's see, chapter 4. All right. This is 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. All right. And we're talking here for those that know that they're Israelites. All right. These other camps. All right. It says, verse 4, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. You got a lot of them that still believe in hell. All right. Don't believe that, and all kinds of other things, going into the books of Enoch and Jasher, and I mean, giving into fables, and they're going to have a lot of blood on their hands as a result. And hey, if you follow, hey, that's on you. Because not everybody, is is going to get this. And there's another scripture. Let's see. Oops. 7. Simply put, this is Matthew chapter 7, verse, let's see. Here it is. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. All right. It says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. All right. More concerned with large gatherings, such as on the Passover, which is supposed to be a solemn assembly. All right. Inviting people that ate of it or ended up eating of it unworthily, that weren't even supposed to be in the building. All right. And are just more concerned with the bottom dollar. All right. Those people got to answer for that. And you know who you are. All right. Engaging in bearing false witness against others. That's a big thing. You know, you got to answer for that. Let's see. Let's go to 3 chapters back, as a matter of fact. Let's see. This is Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. It says, but he answered and said, is it written, man shall not live by bread alone? Another thing we've tried to tell you, about every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. All right. Let's go back to 2 Timothy. Because a lot of our people are so caught up in material goods. All right. And in the end, it's not going to prosper you. It tells you that. James 5, Zephaniah, 1st chapter. All right. Ezekiel 2. Let's see. 2 Timothy 3 and 16. It says, all scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. All these things we're trying to do while we're out there on the highways and byways, or even in these videos, you know. But people don't take heed. People, especially in this society, in these modern times, they don't like to be corrected because of, especially with Esau, Edom, you know, well, they're doomed anyway. But even with our, comes to our people, they're so caught up in this world, and therefore they're prideful also, all right, and don't like to be corrected, all right. Let's see, I'll end it with this. Oh, and this is examples in the past of famines. Let's go to, so it's not like it's not gonna happen again. Let's go to Genesis 25. Nope. Let's go to Genesis 12. This is Genesis 12. Let's go on down, of course, Abraham's journey, or Abram's at this point. Abram's journey to Egypt. All right. He wasn't Abraham yet. It started 9. It says, Abram's journey going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. All right, so that's getting into something else, but here's another case of the famine here, and then we'll go to all right, Genesis 45 and 11. And there will I nurse thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. All right, let's go to 2 Samuel. Whoops. 24. The census taken. All right, we know that Israel is not to be numbered. This is 2 Samuel 24 and 13. And it so Gad came to David, told him, and said unto him, Shall 7 years of famine come unto thee in thy land? Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies while they pursue thee? Or that they be 3 days pestilence in thy land? Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. All right, and this is a story because David went off, all right, and he in effect was to choose his punishment. All right. So there, let's see, and of course, got to go into the, because a lot of you are gonna say, oh, that was in the Old Testament. Okay, we got you, we got you. This is Acts chapter 11, scrolling on down to 27. All right. And it says, in these days, Acts 11 and 27, and in these days came prophets from Jerusalem unto Antioch, and there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be great dearth throughout all the world, which came to pass in the days of Claudius Caesar. All right. Then the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which dwelt in Judea. All right. Relief, remember? Relief. Which also they did, and sent it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. All right. So there you go. A great dearth. So let's go. So this is going to be Strong's G 3042. Lamos. Scarcity of harvest. Famines. There's your durst. That's what your durst means. All right. There you go. So there you have it. These things, there's been many a warning. All right. So we're going to see. Talking about, someone said Jacob's trouble is the idea of it is gay. Okay, we'll see. All right. So once again, this is from Blacklisted News. It says, what will you do when inflation forces U.S. households to spend 40% of their incomes on food? What will you do? All right, remember, 2nd Ezra 15 and 16 chapters. Verse 14 there, Ezra says, woe is me, woe is me. All right. So this is prophesied to come. All right. So with that, shalom.